My fiancée plotted to ditch me for her married boss. I canceled the wedding, took revenge, and made sure they paid for their betrayal. I'm a 30-year-old guy who thought I had my life figured out. I had a stable job in IT, a decent home, and a fiancée, Sarah, who I thought was the love of my life. We'd been together for 5 years, and I genuinely believed we were building a future together. Sarah was smart, ambitious, and always seemed like she had her eye on the prize. She worked in marketing and had just gotten a big promotion, so I was proud of her. I thought I was the guy who could cheer her on and be her partner in life. Turns out I was way off. About 2 months before the wedding, Sarah started talking a lot about her boss, Mark. She said he was this great mentor, that he really respected her, and that he was helping her see her potential. I didn't think much of it at first. I mean, it's normal to talk about work, right? But then it started to get weird. She'd work late all the time, way more than she ever used to. She'd get random phone calls in the evening and step out of the room to take them. I walked into the living room once when she was texting, and she nearly jumped out of her skin trying to hide her phone. I asked her what was going on, and she said, "It's just work stuff, you wouldn't get it." That rubbed me the wrong way. She'd always been open with me before, but now it felt like she was putting up walls. I brushed it off, though. I didn't want to be the paranoid boyfriend, especially not with the wedding coming up. Then came the moment that changed everything. Sarah had left her laptop on the dining table while she went to shower. I wasn't looking for anything. I just saw it open and figured I'd close it. But there was this email chain on the screen with the subject lined post-honeymoon plan. My gut told me something was off, so I clicked on it. The emails were between Sarah and Mark. They were talking about how she would move in with him after our honeymoon. She actually wrote, "I don't know how to break it to him, but I think he'll just figure it out. He's a nice guy, he'll understand." Mark replied, "Don't worry, babe. Guys like him always do. Just stick to the plan." I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. I couldn't believe what I was reading. She was planning to marry me, go on our honeymoon, and then leave me for her boss. It wasn't just betrayal, it was calculated. When she came back into the room, I acted like nothing happened. I needed time to figure out what to do. Over the next week, I started gathering evidence. I forwarded the emails to myself, took screenshots of everything I could find, and even set up a recorder one night when she was on the phone with Mark. She was talking about how she'd finally have the life she deserved and how it's not like he'll fight it. He's too passive for that. I decided I wasn't going to let her get away with it. 2 days before the wedding, I sat her down. We were going over seating arrangements when I said, "Is there something you want to tell me about Mark?" Her face froze. "What are you talking about?" she said, trying to play dumb. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots. "You've been planning to leave me for him after the honeymoon," I said. "I've seen the emails, I've heard the phone calls. Don't lie to me." She panicked. "It's not like that," she said. "You don't understand. Mark and I have a connection. He gets me in a way you never have." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So what?" I said. "You were just going to marry me, let me spend all this money, and then ditch me for him? Why didn't you just break it off?" She started crying. "I didn't know how," she said. "You're such a good guy, I didn't want to hurt you." I laughed, but not because it was funny. "You didn't want to hurt me? You're planning to destroy me, and you didn't want to hurt me? That's rich." She kept trying to explain herself, but I wasn't interested. "The wedding's off," I said. "Pack your things and get out." She begged me to reconsider, saying we could work through it. I told her there was no way I'd ever trust her again. After she left, I decided that Mark needed to face consequences too. From the emails, I knew he was married with kids. I found his wife's contact information and sent her everything I had. She was devastated, but thanked me for telling her. The next day, she showed up at his office during a staff meeting and confronted him in front of everyone. It caused a huge scene, and by the end of the week, Mark had been fired. Sarah was demoted, and the whole office knew what they'd done. But it didn't end there. Sarah and Mark weren't the kind of people to take accountability. They decided to fight back, and the things they did after the initial fallout were almost worse than the affair itself. They started spreading rumors about me, saying I was controlling and jealous. Mark even contacted some of my coworkers, trying to make me look bad. Then Sarah set up an online fundraiser, claiming I had left her financially ruined after canceling the wedding. She said she was in debt and needed help to start over. She even said part of the money would go to charity, but it was all a lie. When I found out, I reported the fundraiser as fraud. I sent the platform screenshots of her emails where she joked about how easy it was to manipulate people into giving her money. The fundraiser was taken down, and she had to return the donations. Sarah didn't stop there. A month after the failed fundraiser, she showed up at my house claiming she'd forgotten some of her belongings. She said there were valuable things like jewelry and electronics that she'd accidentally left behind and wanted back. I knew for a fact she'd taken everything when she moved out, but she wasn't alone this time. She brought along a couple of mutual acquaintances, probably to make me feel pressured into giving her something. I stayed calm. "What exactly are you looking for?" I asked her. "My necklace, some of my work stuff, and a few other things," she said, acting innocent. I didn't even blink. "You're going to need to show me proof of ownership before I give you anything." She huffed and puffed, trying to make it seem like I was being unreasonable. The people she brought along even started chiming in, saying things like, "Come on, just let her take a look." But I wasn't about to fall for it. "If you think I have something that belongs to you, file a claim," I said. "Otherwise, we're done here." She realized I wasn't going to budge and stormed off. After that, I changed my locks and installed security cameras just in case she tried something stupid. I also sent an email to those mutual acquaintances, explaining the situation and showing proof that everything in my house was purchased long before Sarah and I even got together. They quickly backed off, realizing they'd been dragged into her drama. Then Mark decided to take things a step further. Since he couldn't do anything to save his reputation at work, he came after mine. He started spreading rumors in the corporate world, claiming my IT business was shady and that I mishandled client data. He even went so far as to impersonate a potential client and sent me a file embedded with malware, probably hoping to sabotage my systems so he could point to it as evidence of my incompetence. Luckily, I caught the malware before it did any damage. I had an IT specialist trace the attack, and sure enough, it led back to Mark. I documented everything and reported him to the police. He ended up facing legal consequences, including fines and a restraining order that barred him from contacting me or my business ever again. That shut him down for good. But Sarah still had one more stunt up her sleeve. She decided to sell the wedding dress I had paid for. She listed it online, advertising it as brand new and unworn, and jacked up the price to make a quick profit. I found out through a mutual friend who saw the listing and sent it to me. I couldn't believe she had the audacity. Instead of confronting her directly, I set up a fake account and pretended to be an interested buyer. We arranged to meet, and when she showed up with the dress, I called her out. She tried to act like she had no idea what I was talking about. "I needed the money," she said. "It's not like you were using it." I held up the receipt. "I paid for this dress. It belongs to me." She tried to argue, but I told her she could either hand it over or deal with the police. She finally gave it up, and I donated it to a charity that helps brides in need. I made sure to share the donation on social media, thanking the charity for their work. People who knew what Sarah had done applauded the move, while Sarah had to watch as the dress became a symbol of something good instead of the quick cash grab she'd hoped for. The final act came a few months later when Sarah reached out to me, pretending she wanted to apologize. She said she had reflected on her mistakes and wanted to make things right. I didn't believe her for a second, but I agreed to meet her in a public place to see what she was up to. When I got there, I noticed Mark hanging out nearby, and Sarah seemed way too rehearsed in how she was speaking. Halfway through her apology, I noticed she had a small recorder in her bag. She was trying to bait me into saying something she could twist against me. "You know," I said, leaning back, "if you're going to try something this stupid, at least hide the recorder better." Her face turned red, and she started stammering. "I don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone and started recording her instead. "Let's make this fair," I said. "You're recording me, I'll record you. Go ahead, say what you were going to say." She grabbed her bag and bolted, leaving Mark standing there looking like an idiot. I left shortly after, knowing they wouldn't try that stunt again. By the time it was all over, Sarah and Mark had burned every bridge they had. Mark's marriage was done, his career was over, and he was blacklisted from his industry. Sarah's reputation was so trashed that she couldn't even hold down a job. Meanwhile, I took the honeymoon trip alone, used the time to clear my head, and moved on with my life. Looking back, I'm proud of how I handled it. I didn't let them manipulate me or drag me down, and I made sure they faced the consequences of their actions. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: people like Sarah and Mark will always reveal who they really are. All you have to do is pay attention.